and welcome. I'm John and this is Unique Wargame Terrain. Guys, welcome back. For everyone that's new, this is a special type of video because I've been asked a lot of questions a few times, how does this work in the battle and, all that sort of stuff. Can I show you guys a quick video of how certain things work and how, to do the basic stuff so you can start getting on the table and playing games yourself. I was meant to do it when I was on holiday and things just, lost time and I couldn't do it. So in this video, I'm just going to show you some basic stuff just so that if you're new to the hobby or if you're not interested but you like watching the videos, again, you can follow along what's going on. I'm going to do it as an off-the-cuff video, guys. So this is the second time I've actually been filming it because I started messing up and forgetting different bits and pieces. So anyway, I'm going to bring you down and show you the date cards, run you through those. I've got 2 units here on the table, and then I'm going to do some basic movement and shooting and combat just to show you how all that works. Right, so I was just here for the last 10 minutes filming, and I looked and realised I didn't actually start filming. Oh no, this is getting disastrous on me today. Okay, so I've got the Catan Shard and Nightbringer, and I've got the Plague Bearers. Now you can see this is a big deck card, this is a small index card. The reason why that is because the demons don't have their codex for 10th edition released yet. When it does get released, all the information will be shrunk down to here. So I'll quickly run you through. Catan Shard has a movement of 6 inches. It means every time he moves in the movement phase, he can move 6 inches. The Plague Bearers have a 5 inch, so he's a little bit faster. He has toughness 11, so he is very, very tough. Now he has a 4+ armor save, which can be modified by the strength of weapons, shooting or melee. And he has a 4+ invulnerable save. The invulnerable save cannot be modified, so it'll be 4+ regardless. He has 12 wounds, so he's very, very tanky. He has a leadership of 6+. What that means is, if he has to take a battle shock test, you roll 2 dice, and you need to get 6 or more on those dice added together. So if I rolled 2 dice and I got 7, that's a pass. He has OC 4. OC means objective control. So when he's done an objective, like this, he has a value of 4 on there. Okay? I'm going to flip over to show you the Plague Bearers now. So they have OC 2. There's 10 in the unit. So if all of them was on the objective, they'd have OC of 20. So if they were on the objective next to him, they would control the objective because they have more objective control. They have a leadership of 7+. Again, 2 dice added together, and you need to get 7 or more. They have the option, 2 options, which I'll go through in a minute. They have 2 wounds each. So they're not as tanky as him, but there's more of them. So there's still 20 wounds in that unit. They have a save of 7+. Now you can't get 7 on a 6-sided dice, but they have a 5+ invulnerable save. That's the save they always take. They have a toughness of 5 again, so they're not as tough as the other guy, but they're still quite tough. Now we're going to go through the Nightbringers deck card, just to, when I go through this one, you will understand a lot more on the other one as well. So his Gaze of Death is his ranged attack, his ranged weapon. Has a range of 18 inches. It's D3 shots. So before you do anything else, you work out how many shots you're having. To work out how to have D3 shots, you can roll a D3, or you can roll a D6. A D6 is a 6-sided dice. A D3 is a dice that only has 1, 2, and 3 on it. Now you roll a D6. 1 to 2 is 1. 3 to 4 is 2. 5 to 6 is 3 shots. BS 2+. What that means is each shot he would need 2 or more on each dice to get hit. His strength 12, which is very, very nice. His AP -2. Okay, so let me explain what that means quickly. Let's ignore the Plague Bearers invulnerable save for the minute. Let's say their save wasn't 7+. Let's say their save was a 4+. Okay, so -2 armor penetration on that means they'd need a 6 to save each wound. Okay, which is not the best in the world, but it's still quite tasty. And each one that gets through doesn't get saved is D6 +3 damage. Okay, so against these guys, they only have 2 wounds. So I wouldn't even need to roll the dice because it's d6 plus 3. They only have 2 wounds, so the 3 would just instantly kill them, which is, you know, tasty. Now his melee weapon is the Scythe of the Nightbringer. There's 2 different profiles on it, the strike and the sweep. Okay, we'll come back to devastating wounds in a minute. But the range is melee, which is base-to-base contact. A stands for attacks, same as shooting. But the melee, the strike is 6 attacks, and the sweep is 14 attacks. He has to choose one of those profiles. He can't do both of them. Now, as you can see, the strength of the strike is strength 14, so it's pretty strong, whereas the sweep's only strength 8. But obviously, you'll get more of those attacks. AP -4 on the strike, which means he's pretty much killing. Unless they have an invulnerable save, they're not going to get a save against it. Even a Space Marine without invulnerable save would need 7s to save, so they couldn't save against it. It's -2 on the sweep, which again is, you know, it's okay, it's not too bad. Now the strike is d6 plus 2 damage. So if he was hitting the Plague Bearers with that, he would be killing Plague Bearers left, right, and centre. And it's 2 damage on the sweep. Okay. Now going back to this devastating wounds business, that's a keyword underneath the weapon, the strike version of it. Now what that means is every time he's rolling to wound, an unmodified roll of a 6 converts that damage into mortal wounds for each one of those, which is nice. His other rules include he's an enslaved star god, which means he cannot be the warlord. He has a few abilities here that I have to go through. So deadly demise d6. What that means is when he dies, all units, friend or foe, within 6 inches of him, I roll a d6 for. And that's how many mortal wounds that unit takes. So the first unit will take 1, second unit will take 4, the third unit will take 3, and so on. Okay. Now he could explode and cause something else to explode and just start smashing out so much more wounds in one area. You know, it's happened. It's nice, but it's not nice when it's your own army. Now he has an ability called Feel No Pain 5+. So let's say, for example, he's taken 2 wounds. Okay, he's rolled his invulnerable save. He's failed them. So now he has to take these 2 dice, presuming they're 1 damage weapons. These 2 dice, and he's 5 or more on those 2 dice. So that would have been a fail. So that would have been 2 wounds gone through. Okay. As I play out this little scenario, you'll follow along a little bit more. He has another ability here, which is the faction ability, Reanimation Protocols. So in the command phase of the Necron turn, all Necron models in your army have, the Necron army has Reanimation Protocols. I roll a d3 for each model unit that's taken wounds, and they start reanimating themselves. So in the event of this, you know, this guy on his own, he would just heal his own wounds. When you have a unit of like Necron Warriors or something like that, and you roll your d3, you can actually add models back to the unit, which makes them very, very tasty to fight. He has 2 abilities here. One is Drain Life. At the end of the fight phase, roll 1d6 for each enemy unit within 6 inches of him. On a 4+, that enemy unit suffers d3 mortal wounds. So you can dish out mortal wounds as well, which is very nice. He has another ability called Necrodermis. Each time an attack is allocated to this model, halve the damage characteristic of the attack. So what that means is, let's say he got hit with 2 wounds. He failed his armor save, but each one of those wounds are worth 2. So that should be 4 Feel No Pains. But because he halves it, he only has to take 2. Okay? I failed again, of course I did. Now, down here we have unit composition. It has his name, Catan Shard Nightbringer. He's an epic hero. What epic hero means is he's a named character. And then here it tells you what he's equipped with. Okay? You'll see a difference from this one to the Plague Bearer one, because the Plague Bearer one is on both sides and this one isn't. This one has the nice artwork on the back. Right. He has keywords down here now. So first and foremost, he's a monster. So he can be shot when he's in combat. He can shoot his weapons when he's in combat. But, you know, sometimes it's a blessing, sometimes it's not. He's a character, so when you're doing missions like assassination, stuff like that, you get points for killing him. He's an epic hero, which means he's a named character. He can fly, which is very, very nice, which means that when he does his movement, okay, he can actually move over units as long as he finishes his movement not in basic space contact or engagement range, which is nice. If there was a unit here, say he was over here, they were on the objective, and there's a unit in between. Let's pretend that the plague bearer is on the back of the objective here, and there's a unit in front here, and he's this side. Okay, he could fly over the top of that unit and land on the objective, and then be ready to charge the plague bearers. It's a very, very nice thing to have, and he's a Catan Shard of the Nightbringer. Okay, now there's a lot of information on there, but as I play out this little scenario, you'll be able to follow along and you'll understand a bit more, which will help when it comes to battle reports. Now again, going over to the plague bearers. They're melee weapons. They don't have any ranged weapons, these guys don't. So the plague swords have lethal hits as a keyword. What that means is when they're rolling to hit, unmodified roll of 6 to hit, automatic wounds. You don't have to roll those dice again. Each one has 2 attacks. They need 3s to hit. They are strength 4, so they're not as strong. They're AP -1, and they're 1 damage apiece. Okay, so they're not very tanky, but they can, you know, they have a few little quirks with them, a few things they can do. Now their abilities, core abilities, Deep Strike. What that normally means is, when a unit comes in from reserves, if they have Deep Strike keyword, they can drop down anywhere on the table that is 9 inches away from the enemy. Okay. Now the demons have the faction ability, Shadow of Chaos. What that means is, if they drop down inside an area which is Shadow of Chaos, it's not 9 inches away, it's 6 inches away they can drop down, which is very, very handy. Now, Shadow of Chaos, as a demon player, your deployment zone is always Shadow of Chaos. In No Man's Land, the area between 2 deployment zones, if you control at least half those objectives, that's Shadow of Chaos then. If you control the objective in the enemy's deployment zone, again, that's Shadow of Chaos. Now, they have infected outbreak. If you control an objective marker at the end of your command phase, and this unit is in range of that objective marker, that objective marker remains under your control, even if no other models are in range of it, and your opponent controls until your opponent controls at the start or end of a turn. So what that basically means is, if they're on an objective in my command phase, I control that objective. But they have, what that basically means is they have sticky objectives. So even once they move away from that objective, I still control it. So I still get points for it and everything else, because so they can start one objective, sticky that, then move to another objective, sticky that, and I'm still getting points for both. Okay, it's very, very handy. So it's nice to get them on there. Okay, now they have warrior abilities. So they can have an option to have demonic icon, which takes their leadership when they're doing battle shocks from 7 to 6. So instead of needing 7 or more, I'd only need 6 or more, which is a big difference. I'll give you an example. That's a fail. I've got these 2 dodgy dice that keeps rolling 3 on me. So let's do it again. So that would be a fail. That'd be a mega pass. Yeah. But anyway, they have Instrument of Chaos, which adds 1 to their charge rolls made for this unit. Okay, which is very handy if they drop down in Shadow of Chaos 6 inches away from the enemy. They only need 5 or more on 2 dice added together to make a charge. So that's very, very nice. The keywords are infantry. They are battle line unit. Battle line means when you're picking your army, you can have 6 of these units if you wanted to. Whereas everything else you can have 3 of. They're chaos, they're demons, they're Nurgle, they're plague bearers. Okay. Now it's a lot of information to bring in. So, these guys have this all on the back here as well, which is unit composition. Tells you what's in the unit. 1 plague ridden, which is champion. 9 plague bearers. Every model equipped with plague sword. And then there's the options for the instrument and the standard. Whereas this one is all compressed onto 1 page, which is a lot handier. So what we've got a scenario here is, we've got Nightbringer on objective, we've we've got plague bearers there. I'm not going to move the Nightbringer off the objective. I'm going to let the plague bearers come to him. All he's going to do is stand there and shoot them. Okay, so I'm going to roll 2 dice here. The blue one is going to be for the Catan shard, and the white one is for the plague bearers. Let's see who goes first. We're looking for the highest dice roll. Of course, double 3. Okay, so the Catan shard is going to go first. Okay, so hopefully I don't have a brain fart this time. So the Catan shard, like I said, is not going to move. He's just going to stay there and shoot at them and let them charge into him. So we're going to shoot the weapon, his ranged weapon first of all. It's D3 shots. So I roll D6. That's 1 shot. Okay. Now he needs 2 or more to hit. That's his ballistic skill. That's a hit. Okay. He's strength 12. Now with the strength of the weapon, if the strength of the attacking weapon is higher than the target's toughness, you need 3s to hit. If like 3 or more on the dice, on however many number hits you have. If the strength of the attacking weapon is double the target's toughness, you need 2s on each dice. If the strength of the weapon is the same as the target's toughness, it'll be a 4. If the strength of the weapon is weaker than the target's toughness, you'll need 5s. If the toughness of the target is double the strength of the weapon, you need 6s to wound. So he's strength 12. So I'm going to need 2s to make a wound here. Failed. Of course it did. So that's all he's shooting. So what these guys are going to do, as their turn now, what they're going to do is I'm going to move them forward. Now, when it comes to movement, they have 5-inch movement. They can do something called advance. If they advance, they can't charge. Okay. Now there are some exceptions to this. Some units are able to advance and charge, which will be one of their abilities. But let's just say, for example, let's just pretend I'm going to advance these guys. So what I would do is roll a d6, roll a 3, plus 5 is 8. So they would move 8 inches. Okay. Now there are some ranged weapons that have an assault keyword on their weapon, which means they can advance and still shoot the weapon. If you don't have that keyword on your weapon, you assault, and you have a ranged weapon, and you advance the unit, you cannot shoot the weapon. Okay, I'm not going to advance these guys. I'm just going to move them normally. They're 5 inches. Okay. Right, so I moved them to 5 inches. They don't have any ranged weapons, so don't worry about that. But now what they're going to do, they're going to attempt to charge him. Okay. That looks like 2 inches. So I wouldn't really need to roll dice, but you roll them anyway. Now, you can't make a normal move and finish within 1 inch of an enemy, because that's the engagement range. Okay. But let's just pretend this guy here, the back here, was going to make a charge. That looks like a 4-incher to me. Yeah, 3 inches. He would need like 3 inches to make it into combat. Okay, so let's just pretend that's what we need. So you roll 2 dice, and you only need 3 added together. Yeah, nice and easy. Now in this instance, because we rolled 12 for this, 11 for this unit, they get +1 on their charge because of the musician. So that's a 12. So basically, this guy here can pretty much make it around here. Okay, and that's very key when it comes to combat. I'll explain why in a second, but I'm going to move these guys there 12 inches and get as many into combat as possible. This video is not going too well for me today. I just broke the musician's bloody arm. Anyway, it's very key to get as many more into combat as possible, because everyone that's in base contact with him can fight him. Everyone that's in base contact with a friendly model that's in base contact with him can fight. So even these 2 guys at the back can fight. Okay, so now we're into combat phase. Let's say, for example, I didn't roll 11. I only rolled enough to get, say, a handful of models in. What happens then is, when I activate that unit, they can pile in. When the unit piles in, they can pile in 3 inches. So it gives me opportunity to get more models in base contact. Okay. Also, the benefit of this, if he tried to escape, yeah, he would have to make a desperate breakout, which, you know, is a bit more advanced. We won't really go into that too much, but it just makes it more difficult for him to get away. So anyway, combat phase, these guys have 2 attacks each, so that's 20 dice. Okay, they're going to need 3 to hit on each dice, but they have lethal hits. So when I'm rolling those 20 dice, every roll of a 6 is going to be an instant wound. I won't have to worry about rolling those dice again. So I'm going to get 20 dice, I'm going to roll them, and come back and show you the result. Right, so I rolled 20 dice. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to take out every single 6, because that's an instant wound. Then what I need to do is remove everything that isn't 3 or more. So every 1 and 2 I need to take out. Okay, so all the rest of these are hits. These are instant wounds. So now what I'm going to do is take the hits, and the strength of this weapon is strength 4. Okay, he's toughness 11, so he's very tanky. So what that means is I'm going to need 6s on these dice to wound him with the normal hits. Nothing. Okay, just okay. So, but there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 saves for him to make. Now it's AP -1. He has a 4+ armor save and a 5+ invulnerable save. So the AP -1 would make that 4+ into a 5+, but the invulnerable save isn't modified. So you always go with the one that gives you the best save. So I'm going to take those 5 dice. I need 4, 5 or 6 on each of these dice. Okay, so he's saved 3 of them. 2 of them gone through. Now these are 1 damage weapons. He has a 5+ feel no pain. So what I need to do is roll these 2 dice. I need 5 or 6 on each dice to ignore the damage they've done. Let's say, for example, that this was a 2 damage weapon. Then the feel no pain, I'll be rolling 4 dice, because each one's worth 2. But because he was necrodermis, he halves that. So again, it goes back to being 1 apiece. He can't reduce that below 1, the damage. So I need 5 or 6 on these 2 dice. So 1 saved, 1 gone through. So he's taken a wound. Okay. So now he's down to 11 wounds. I'm not going to put a dice there because he's going to regenerate the next turn. Now he's attacks back. I'm actually going to go with the sweep. Actually, no, I'll do the strike because I want to show you how devil wounds work. So I'm going to do the strike and get 6 dice. 2, 4, 6 dice. Now he needs 2s to hit on each of these dice. So every one of these dice I need 2 or more. Right, so I dropped 1 and the rest of them hit. Okay. Now when I'm rolling to wound, any 6s I roll are going to be mortal wounds. But he's strength 14. Yeah. Their toughness 5. So I'm double. The strength of my weapon is double their toughness, so I'm going to need 2s to wound them. So I drop 1. So there's 4 go through. Now what they have to do, they have to roll each one of these 4 dice, and they need 5 or more to save. So 2 go through. And each one is worth d6 plus 3. So it's 2d6 plus 6 damage. So that's 8, 14 damage. Okay, each one has 2 wounds. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. Okay, so that's the equivalent of combat. Obviously he took a wound, but now it's his turn. He'd regenerate that because the Necrons have the reanimation protocols. So I roll a d3, and that's that would be 3 wounds healed back up. He took 1, so it doesn't matter. Now in the event of other units that have more than 1 model, when their reanimation protocols kick in, they can bring dead models back to life. So, you know, they're very, very difficult armies to deal with. So that's the gist of, you know, combat, charging and combat. Now, as it's Necron's turn, this is ongoing combat, these guys would fight first. Okay, so he would pile in, because he's activated. They would then do their 6 attacks. It's not going to matter, because I think it's a bad matchup really, but it's not really, just to give you a bit of diversity of how, you know, the units are different. They would need 3s to hit. 6s are auto wounding. There's 2 auto wounds, 2 normal hits, then 6s again. Oh, look at that. That's absolutely amazing. So there'll be 4 saves of 4+, 2 saved, 2 go through, then 1 damage weapons, so 5+ feel no pain. So he'll take 2 damage. Yeah. So that's the gist of combat and, you know, movement, bit of shooting. Now, obviously, when you have other units with tanks and stuff like that, there's a lot more weapons involved. Not all ranged weapons are D3. Some of them are just single shot weapons. So you've got 10 guys in the units, 10 dice, and away you go. There are a lot of other things as well you have to take into account, like terrain. So let's just imagine for a minute that this unit was set up over here, coming down, and this was here like this. He can't see them, so he can't shoot them. They're infantry, yeah, they have the infantry keyword, which means they can go straight for the building to him. They don't have to go around. Where he's a monster, he has to go round. Okay, so that's where some of the keywords come into play. But he can't shoot because he can't see them, and he can't be seen because he's behind the building. We call that line of sight. So he doesn't have line of sight to them. They don't have line of sight to him if they had ranged weapons, but they still can just move up and charge him. Right, so that's the basic of it. So hopefully now, when I put Battle Report up, you guys will be able to follow it a bit more. Those who don't play, or those that you're interested in playing and haven't played the game yet, you'll be able to follow it a bit more. Now, I've shown you devastating wounds, lethal hits. There are a lot more keywords for different weapons and stuff like that. I spoke about assault weapons, which, you know, I'm not going to go over again, I've already spoke about that. You have things like precision. And what that does, that's more like snipering. So if you have a unit with precision, the last game we played, the death marks, Necron death marks have precision on their weapons. When you shoot an enemy unit, as long as you can see the hero in that unit that's leading the unit, you can actually pick that hero out, which is quite handy. Now, one thing I didn't say, with the unit of plague bearers, each army has their different units, and you have different heroes that can lead those units. That's where precision comes in, so you can pick them out of the unit. For the plague bearers, I think it's a poxbringer is the only one they can have for the Demon Army at the moment, which gives them additional abilities. I think he makes their lethal hits take effect on a 5+, not 6, which is, you know, always handy. And I think he does something else when he's in Shadow of Chaos. Something else, I can't remember off the top of my head, but something like that. You have Space Marine captains that can let you do a stratagem and reduce the CP cost of stratagem down to 1. And someone say, what's a stratagem? The stratagem are special cards that you can play at certain points in the game to give you certain abilities and do certain things. For example, Overwatch. Because I love a good old Overwatch. When an enemy unit finishes its normal move, advanced move, I think fallback's on there as well, and charge, you can Overwatch with a unit. Typically, you shoot all the weapons at that unit coming in while that unit's moved. You have to move within 24 inches of them. But each shot that you fire, you need an unmodified roll of a 6 to hit them. Okay? Which sometimes it pays off, sometimes doesn't. There are certain units that have a modification on that roll. Hexmark Destroyer, for example, hits on 2s when he's overwatching. Fire Strike Team hits on 4s when they're overwatching, Space Marines. Connected Doomstalker hits on a 5 when he's overwatching. You know, there are a few units like that do the stuff like that. But there are different stratagems for different things, for movement, shooting, fighting, combat, you know, all that sort of stuff. And you have command points. You gain 1 command point in your command phase, and you gain 1 command point in the enemy's command phase. So that's how you use those to play for the stratagems. And sometimes a stratagem can actually make or break the game. When I say break it, I don't mean in a bad way. I mean like you can swing against you or swing for you, depending on how they're played and when they're played. You have other keywords like torrent. So if a weapon is a torrent weapon, okay, it usually has a 12-inch range. Some of them have 18-inch range, but you don't need to roll to hit. It's usually D6 shots, and they also hit. So you just roll to wound. So torrent weapons are actually fantastic to get. The best torrent weapons in the game at the moment I can see are warp spiders, because they have death wounds on their torrent weapons, which is absolutely fantastic. You have things like ignore cover. So if the enemy is partly obscured, they'll get +1 to the armor save for being in light cover. But you have keywords and weapons that can ignore cover. You have certain weapons are psychic attacks, and what that is, some units have a special save against psychic attacks, or some heroes that join units, I think Spaceman and Librarian for example, will give them a save against a psychic attack, something like that. You have heavy keyword. Heavy keyword, if you don't move that unit gets +1 to hit. So for example, the Necron Doomsday arcs, if they don't move, they normally hit on 3s. If they don't move, because they're heavy, they hit on 2s. Okay, so you always want to try and push to make it easier for you to hit the enemy, make it easier for you to wound the enemy. You know, it does help a long way. You have things like indirect fire, which is another, you know, it's a rule that's been balanced out a little bit now. Indirect fire, the way it used to work is you could be hidden behind a building and you're just firing at an enemy you can't even see, because it's indirect fire. I think you used to be at -1 to hit. Most of the time you need 3s to hit anyway, so you're hitting on 4s. Now they've changed it so a dice roll of 1, 2 and 3 is instant fail. So you always need 4+, you know, to hit. I'm not sure if the -1 to hit is still on there. It might be. So it's made it a bit more balanced. You have some really amazing ability. About to say weapons. It's not a weapon. That's an ability. Always strike first. That's another ability that's amazing. But trying to think about weapons. I think that's pretty much it on the weapons. If I've forgotten anything, guys, you know, there was a lot on there. So just, you know, don't punish me for it. Chuck on below and just mention it as well. If there's anything that I've covered and you go, oh, we don't do like that, we do like this, chuck on below. You know, we can share that information with each other. If you have any comments about anything, just chuck on below as always, guys. So thank you for watching. I hope this helps some of you I hope this video helps more of you get into the game and onto the table with your armies. Instead of, oh, I don't know how to play, always so complicated. It is complicated at first, but the more you play it, the easier it becomes. If you're not subscribed to the channel and you're seeing this for the first time, guys, hit the subscribe button because it costs you absolutely nothing. Turn your notifications on so you don't miss anything. Everyone smash the thumbs up button so it triggers YouTube to share this video with more people, which makes this amazing community of you guys grow even more. Like I said, this is an off-the-cuff video, guys, so there's not going to be intro symbol at the beginning or anything like that. Yeah, so hit the buttons for me. Any comments or anything, chuck them below as always. Until next time, guys, take it easy.